It's time for the business news now with Charles Pellegrin. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Karis.
You're starting with Donald Trump applying economic pressure on Iran.
The U.S. president took to social media, as is his wont, on Monday night to say he's going to impose so-called secondary tariffs on any country doing business or trading with Tehran because of the regime's crackdown of protests, which have killed at least over 600 people there. He said, quote, effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. This order is final and conclusive. No further details were provided.
And this could seriously disrupt a number of the U.S.'s trade relationships.
Iran's major trade partners include both some of its neighbors and also major global economies like China and India. And the last reliable data we have on Iran's trade partners dates back to 2022. And back then, the country that Iran imported the most from was the United Arab Emirates, ahead of China, Turkey, India, and Germany. And when it comes to Iranian exports, well, China was at the number one destination, with Beijing a major buyer of Iranian oil, a trend that has only grown stronger since then, with some estimates showing China buys 90% of Iran's crude currently. The move could jeopardize a fragile trade truce negotiated between the U.S. and China in late 2025. China's foreign ministry reacting this Tuesday by saying it will protect, quote, its lawful rights. And India is already facing 50% tariffs, partly because of its purchases of Russian oil. So those talks will be impacted as well. There's another aspect of this, the legality of Donald Trump's unilateral tariffs, which is being debated by the U.S. Supreme Court currently. A ruling against him could invalidate a number of those duties he's imposed, and the court's next opinion day is this Wednesday.
All right, so what impact has this all had on oil markets?
So crude benchmark prices hit their highest level since November. Iran is OPEC's fourth biggest producer, so this move could have a serious impact on supply. And this follows a run of 5 months of losses on expectations of a supply glut as major producers announced production increases. You can see the West Texas Intermediate just under the $60 a barrel mark, while the Brent crude, the North Sea benchmark, is at over $64 a barrel.
Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has paid Elon Musk a visit.
Hegseth was visiting the SpaceX site in Texas on Monday. That's the space tech company headed by Elon Musk. And he used the opportunity to say that one of Musk's other ventures, his AI chatbot, Grok, will join Google's generative AI engine in operating inside the Pentagon network as part of a broader push to feed as much of the military's data as possible into this developing technology. The announcement comes days after Grok drew public outcry globally for generating highly sexualized deepfake images of people without their consent. Take a listen to Pete Hegseth.
To further that, today at my direction, we're executing an AI acceleration strategy that will extend our lead in military AI established during President Trump's first term. This strategy will unleash experimentation, eliminate bureaucratic barriers, focus on investments, and demonstrate the execution approach needed to ensure we lead in military AI and that it grows more dominant into the future.
Next, fallout from the Trump administration's criminal probe of the country's top central banker is being felt worldwide.
That investigation ostensibly focusing on alleged falsehoods in Powell's congressional testimony about budget overruns and renovations to the bank's 88-year-old headquarters. Well, many political observers, though, see it as yet another attempt by Trump to gain personal control over U.S. monetary policy, crucially interest rates, as the president seeks to quickly boost U.S. economic growth via aggressive rate cuts. That is causing major concern on global markets as investors who count on the Fed's independence worry that it's in danger of being lost. Brian Quinn explains.
An act of what many see as domestic political retribution with global financial implications. Sunday's announcement of the U.S. Justice Department's criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell quickly triggered what's called the Sell America trade on global markets, as investors reduce their exposure to U.S. stocks, bonds, and the dollar.
One of the most important dynamics of growing markets and markets that compound wealth is an independent Fed. When we continue to have rhetoric towards the Fed governor, the governance around the Fed, it's obviously going to create some volatility.
The Federal Reserve was created in 1913 with a dual mandate, controlling inflation and supporting the U.S. labor market. It has two main tools, setting benchmark interest rates and controlling the money supply. With the U.S. dollar, the world's reserve currency, and U.S. Treasury bonds, the world's top safe haven asset, Fed policy is critical not just for the U.S. economy, but for the global financial system.
So the real concern here is the Federal Reserve that Congress specifically designed to be independent instead over time just becomes another tool of the president in ways that have adverse ramifications for the dollar, for treasury markets.
For months, the president has been publicly criticizing and insulting the Fed chair for not aggressively cutting interest rates as Trump seeks to quickly boost U.S. economic growth. The criminal probe has drawn condemnation from a chorus of former Fed chairs and Treasury secretaries, as well as from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. It's not Trump's first bid to gain control over the central bank. In August, he attempted to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook and replace her with an appointee of his own, but was stopped, at least temporarily, by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Charles Pellegrin, thank you very much for that business update.